Hello everyone, and this is my review for Monday Night Raw on January 19th, 2015, and, well, what can you say? This was a mixed bag Raw. I felt like they've done in some areas they did a really good job of setting up the pay-per-view, and other areas kind of made it very mundane and ho-hum where they were going with everything. First of all, typically the show doesn't have that many matches because of how long the Royal Rumble match itself goes for. So the fact that there's only 5 matches on the show isn't really a bad thing in itself. Just the fact that 3 of them now are tag team matches makes it just kind of weird and kind of mundane where they're going with it. Usually you have some kind of blood feud going into the actual pay-per-view that wasn't necessarily for the main title or the Royal Rumble match, or in the Royal Rumble match. You usually have some other kind of blood feud going in there as well, which they really are not. They really don't have that in this one. You have Miz and Mizdow versus the Usos. They kind of culminated everything in there. I did actually like the little backstage segment with Mizdow not interrupting, but impersonating X-Pac and doing his normal shtick he does with the Miz with X-Pac in there. That was actually a fairly entertaining segment. And then the match with the Usos, or not the Usos, but with Miz and the one of the Usos in there. The one-on-one match was actually an okay match of itself. It kind of just finishes off the storyline going into the pay-per-view. Then you had the Ascension interrupting the NWO. The thing about the Ascension, since they've brought them up from NXT, I think they've done them all wrong here. Like, the promos they've been given have been complete utter crap. And, as of this moment, they've been continually getting buried on the actual commentary as well. So hopefully this whole aspect of them getting beaten down and setting up the tag team match with the Ascension and the New Age Outlaws this week is a way of putting them over on the pay-per-view itself, and just letting the Legends get a one-upsmanship and giving at least a reason for this match to happen. So we'll see where they actually go with it. I'm hoping they're not giving up on the Ascension right away, but it looks like they are. So hopefully that's not the case. And then, of course, the third tag match ended up being Paige and Natalya, which they're playing the whole storyline of this unorthodox teaming and everything like that. And then, it actually kind of works versus the Bellas. And really, I thought they were going to go to some kind of triple threat or fatal four-way match to kind of create a tension between the two teams. The 4 sets, or the 4 divas, and the 2 different teams of them, kind of create tension between all 4 of them, and then have some kind of match. But they decided to go with just a typical tag team match. Maybe they have plans for something after the pay-per-view. I don't know. The storyline's not really all that good to begin with. But it is what it is going into the pay-per-view. They did a decent job setting up the Rumble match. I like the whole aspect behind Daniel Bryan and Bray Wyatt. They had the match back at the Royal Rumble last year. You can kind of play off that. And then, of course, the fact that Daniel Bryan and Kane have been having this mini feud going into the actual Royal Rumble match, and they'll probably set up. Obviously, they've set up another one-on-one match with them, I believe, at some point. And then and then of course they'll have something probably in the actual Rumble match where either Daniel Bryan eliminates them, or you have them be out there at the same time in some way, shape, or form. So that aspect was pretty good. I like they put over the people they felt like they needed to put over. The fact that Bray Wyatt gets the upper hand on Daniel Bryan in this case actually kind of works, because you had Kane out there interfering. They put over Dean Ambrose, Rusev. The actual promo with the Legends panel with Big Show interrupting was pretty good as well. I liked how the Legends put over the match itself and how important it was to them in their careers. It just, like I said, it puts over that match even more in that case. Not that it necessarily needs it. And then, of course, Big Show's promo I thought was relatively well done. And then, of course, interrupting with Roman Reigns coming out there and chasing off Big Show, knocking him over the top rope, showing that someone can get him over the top rope. I thought that was Basically, they're playing off the whole aspect that Big Show's saying no one's going to get him over the top rope, even though he's never won a Royal Rumble before to begin with. But you know, they played off that, and having Roman Reigns throw him over was kind of, or clothesline him over was kind of a good way of going with that aspect. I was also glad that they didn't give him the microphone in that case. And then on the other aspect, on the other area that I was found to be a little bit of a surprise good thing, was how they worked the New Day's entrance this week. I just had to throw that out there. I actually enjoyed that. The fact that each one of them had their own little talking shtick while doing their entrance to begin with. It kind of, you hear the people kind of getting behind it a little bit. Not that much yet, but it is definitely, you hear more people chanting New Day when they're actually asking for it. Then again, the crowd does pop whenever R-Truth does What's Up as well. But their little beginning promo during their entrance, I thought was fairly entertaining. It's a nice little aspect that they put to the New Day, and I hope they can continue on with that in some way, shape, or form. Now this leads into the main focal point of the night, which was the storyline that I necessarily don't like, which is the whole firing storylines, which with Eric Rowan, Ryback, Dolph Ziggler, and of course they have John Cena in there. They basically began the day, they began the whole thing setting up for, you know, building the storyline with a triple threat match with Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, and John Cena. In all honesty, and then it went, but then it went off where, you know, after Cena interrupts, he's going to be put in a match where with he doesn't know at that, or he doesn't know the opponent at that time, and he has a decision to make. And if he decides to go with the match, he has a chance at winning Rowan, Ryback, and Ziggler's jobs back. And if he loses, he's out of the championship match. Okay. Again, you kind of giving away the result, but then again, it's one of those firing storylines you kind of know where it's going to go to begin with. So they did the whole aspect of, you know, they used the WWE app in there and everything, and saying, oh, the fans want Cena to actually put this up on the line. Kind of trying to play the whole aspect that no one really wants Cena around in there. And honestly, I mean, for the most part, they executed the entire night of that really well. I like the promo backstage with Lesnar and Seth Rollins as well. The match that they made, which was the 3-on-1 handicap match with Big Show, Kane, and Seth Rollins versus Cena, it was your typical handicap match where, you know, Cena's going to get beaten down the entire time and everything in that aspect, and then someone would interrupt and actually, you know, help him win. Which, in this case, and this is where I'm going to say, this is what I'm going to say. In the fact of how they had people, or someone help Cena win this match, was a mixed bag of a really good thing and where they failed. Where they failed in this aspect is that they could have used this whole, they could have used the whole aspect of Eric Rowan, Ryback, and Dolph Ziggler. They could have had him sneak through the crowd or something like that and appear and get rid of like all the outside interference like Triple H and everything in that aspect. And then afterwards, which this is where I thought it was a very good thing, where they had Sting interrupt the actual, interrupt the final portion of the match, costing Big Show, Kane, and Seth Rollins the match, which is what ended up happening. It was the only thing that ended up happening. So I felt like they could have built the whole aspect that, you know, Ziggler, Rowan, and Ryback were getting their jobs back by having them at least help out a bit, and then have Sting be the finishing touch to everything, instead of just going with the whole aspect of just Sting coming out there. And I'm not saying that having him just come out there and him being the only one is necessarily a bad thing. They could have done a better job with it. And in that sense, they could have put over more people by having him come out and having them be out there as well, than just having him come out there while Cena and causing the initial distraction and having Cena actually win the match that way. I like one aspect I did like was how ballistic Triple H went. It's definitely looking like we're not going to get the Undertaker Sting match, at least not at this year with Mania, if they're going to ever even have a chance of ever doing that match to begin with. But it looks like we're going to get Sting and Triple H. So we'll see how that storyline ends out building. That one's going to, honestly, I think that build for a storyline will be a lot of fun. And I honestly can't wait to see where they actually go with that. And of course, Sting making his first appearance on Raw as well. I like the aspect of Brock Lesnar coming out there because and going absolutely ballistic on Kane and Big Show and Seth Rollins, just putting himself over even more in that case. And it just, like I said, that main event, it played off well. I don't like the storyline concept to begin with, but they executed it. They executed it well, but they failed in certain areas. And that it was what it was in that case. And overall for Monday Night Raw this week, I feel like they didn't necessarily mess up the building of the pay-per-view itself, because I mean the main build is the triple threat match and the Royal Rumble match, but there really wasn't much other than that to really write home about in any way, shape, or form. They've been kind of ruining the Ascension ever since they come up to begin with. And overall, it was I would probably say it was an okay show. And it wasn't a horrible show going into the pay-per-view, but it wasn't anything spectacular. It wasn't anything like, oh, you must go out there and buy the network or order this on pay-per-view type of show. So that's my review this week for Monday Night Raw, and I thank you guys for watching.